Hi everyone, my name is Catherine Uslan and I'm in Bellingham, Washington. I'm participating in the EdCamp Global today. I don't know if you were able to find my broadcast link, but I've put it out there a couple times at Twitter. Today we're going to be talking about digital storytelling with apps and different web-based tools. And I've got a few things, excuse me, that I use here. I'm a French teacher in Mount Vernon, Washington. And we're going to be looking at things for your iPads, for your iOS devices, or if you have iPods, or if you've got perhaps Chromebooks, which we have a few of these in my classroom. We've got 21 iPads, and we're going to be getting 6 mini iPads, and it's going to be pretty wild in my classroom. We also use little tools like this great, this is a tripod I got on Amazon for, you can use it for your iPods, so you can use it for your phones, or you can take off this little adaptation here, and you can use it for video cameras. So when we're talking about digital storytelling, we need something to record with. Maybe we're using a regular video camera, or we've got the students' phones. Whatever you're using, we're going to try and find some tools today that you can use to create exactly what your students and you want. Something that expresses their knowledge. What I'm going to do is switch over to the presentation, and you'll be able to find the presentation if you look right now in the chat box. I've got the link to the presentation, so you're going to find all the examples there. So if I've got a video posted, you'll see it on my screen, but if you want to click and interact with those, just go over to the chat button. It's at the top. It's the little blue icon at the very top left, and click on that and you'll see my presentation. So if you want to follow this again, you can always go to my website, and I have a link already posted to this EdCamp Global presentation. So thank you again for being here. This is not just for world language teachers. Any teacher, social studies, English, anyone can use this. So I'm going to go over to the screen share. And you're going to get 1,000 of those. Here we are. Okay, so we're going to start our presentation, and we're thinking about syncing digital tools for storytelling. You've got my contact information on there. I'm Catherine KU72 at Twitter. And if you also want to email me, it's also catherinekU72@gmail.com. A little bit about me. I'm a French teacher, like I said, at Mount Vernon High School. I am one of the digital literacy coaches there for the Mount Vernon School District. So my job is to assist teachers with whatever digital thing they need. So if their printer's not working, I go check it out. I don't necessarily fix it, but at least I can give an idea of what's going on. I also am a technology integration specialist for world languages, meaning I go around and give workshops and professional development trainings for world language teachers on how to thoughtfully integrate technology into their lessons. I also work for the American Association of Teachers of French. I'm the social media manager, so I do their Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, and everything else that you find. And I'm also the ATF Commission technology chair. So that's been a big role for me to help and connect with teachers from all over the world. And I am a teacher, like I said, in Mount Vernon. This is where we live. We are known as the tulip producers of the world. Yes, more than Holland. That's Mount Baker in the background. And then if you go up about 15 miles on I-5, this is White Rock, BC, and that's the view of our mountain that they get. So we're a little jealous. So we're going to be talking about this digital storytelling things. I'm mostly going to be using iOS apps because that's what I have, but there are a few that you can use with Android. And of course, we're going to be looking at web-based ones as well. A lot of people get a little nervous about this digital native thing. Well, I let you know that we've all had these things in our hands. Most of you have seen these gadgets before. So we've played with them, especially Speak and Spell and Speak and Maths. They were great tools for me as a kid in the 80s to practice my spelling and to practice my math. So I've played with these ever since I can remember, and that makes me a digital native? I don't think so. It's anything that people have used to interact with the world around them. So even the ATM, you have touched that, you've worked it, you are set. And if you remember right, back in the 80s, there was an ad in Radio Shack, newspaper ad. And you see all these objects on here. You've got a computer, you've got a telephone, a voice recorder. You've got everything that you would need to make a digital story right there. But now we just put it all on our iPhones, or we put it on our iPads, and we have it in one device without having to spend all of that money. So we're going to look at what's in your backpack, because not every teacher has everything that I have, nor do our students. Not all of our schools have Wi-Fi yet. That's a major issue, but that can be worked around. So we have to think about what's in the backpack. And a couple of teachers asked me, well, when I bring in technology into my lessons, am I just pandering to their learning styles, or am I really trying to be a thoughtful and a good user of technology to make sure that my students are learning and producing knowledge? We have to think about this carefully, because it's not the idea of throwing devices at teachers and saying, here, this will make your teaching better. We've all been saying that, I'm sure, for every session that you've been to. All right, now, a lot of teachers say, well, I used to do this. I used to put posters up on my room, or the students would make paper books. They use the colored construction paper, the markers. Absolutely. We've all done these types of things before as teachers. So the things I'm going to be showing you today are not necessarily new ideas, but they're what we've done in the past. Now we're looking at the devices that we have, and we say, well, how can I take these things that are in my students' backpacks or in my classroom and adapt those so that we do the same thoughtful type of projects, but in a way that we can make it a digital story, which is picture, text, audio recordings, everything that you can use, that you've always used, and now we're going to publish it. So like I said, digital storytelling, it includes narration, and sometimes it's a computer voice. Some of the apps I'm going to show you today allow the students to type in what they want to say, and a computer will speak it for them. And that can be good for students who are nervous speakers. It's not a way for them to get around having to produce language orally, but it is a good option for those who don't feel quite confident but will gain confidence with more storytelling. Now, I like this next part, pictures. They can be drawn, which I'm not a very good artist, but my students are amazing. And I love having them do a little bit of an app smashing situation where they do paper and pencil type projects, and then we take pictures of those, and then we can use those to make the stories. They can be pictures that they find online, and hopefully they're going to be using Creative Commons and learning how to choose pictures that are appropriate, talking about copyright, or you can get them to take their own pictures. So I send them my students often out on campus with a list of terms or ideas, and they have to take the pictures. So that one requires them to interpret their world, because they're going to be using that knowledge, that existence they have, to tell their story. Of course, you can also use video. You're going to do a lot of text, because some of our stories are going to be the students speaking plus text, or some of them might just be text. And kids always love to put a little music behind that. And there's another way that we can connect with our students to show them digitally, aware students think I can put music, any type of music, into any project, when they know that they should look into the copyright issues of this. So these are student driven and teacher supported. So it's not the teachers pushing this out to the students. It's students saying, oh, I've got this idea or this option, and the teacher's going to be there to help through the writing process, through the pronunciation process. And we get a lot of collaboration, not just with the students and the teacher, but the students and the students together. It's also very important that you archive in some type of e-portfolio or a blog. You've got some place that you're sharing these stories with a real audience. That to me is the biggest difference between making a book that we sent home with the parents, or that just stayed in your classroom for 10 years, or a poster that the students put up in the hallway that nobody looked at, or that might have been torn down. We want to take our stories and publish them somewhere, and then show our students their progress from first year French to AP French in a portfolio. This is where you were when you were just learning how to say some things about animals, and now here you are commenting on the most recent news event in France. And then we have the deal where it's commented on. That for students, when they're sharing their pictures online, they really want a like, they want a thumbs up, they want some hearts, they want a comment. This definitely is a motivator for students. And I want to put in a few words about Common Core, because World Languages, believe it or not, does use all the strategies of Common Core to support the learning in our classrooms, but also the learning in the other classes. We use personal expression when we're writing, when we're telling a story. We're writing for a variety of audiences. My students are not just writing for me. Sometimes it's for students in Canada we've connected with. Sometimes it's for a movie that we saw and we want to show the director or the actors that are in that we liked this movie. So we'll take some shots of the movie and we'll put some comments on it. There's writing for a purpose. It's not just for a grade. And we're working on our speaking proficiency and fluency. And for students, that is usually the larger challenge, like feeling they can communicate with the world in the language and feeling confident to share that in a public situation. Since I am kind of interested in the Common Core, I made this. This is a Symbaloo chart, and you can click on that link. It says ATF Commission Technology blog post. And what I did was I took the Common Core standards for ELAs, and then I looked at the national standards for world language. So that's through ACTFL and several different organizations. And there's been this a crosswalk made where ACTFL and the organizations looked at the ELAs and said, well, we do this, and this is how we support. And I grabbed all of the apps that I'm using. So here's the Common Core. Here is the National Standards for Language Learning, and here's the apps that you can use these with. And I think there's a lot of teachers out there who don't necessarily have the vocabulary or the technology background where they can say, I need iPads for my classroom because, or I need to have some Chromebooks in my classroom because sometimes world language teachers feel that they're the last to get any technology. Whereas because I had this knowledge, I became the first one in the school to have iPods. I did my research. I said, okay, I'm going to be doing this. So I need this app. I need this tool. And my students are going to become creators of this idea, which supports the ELA and other Common Core subject areas. So definitely check out this chart. It's a great one. I'm going to take a second here and look and see if there are any questions or comments. And I'm going to stop the screen share for just a moment. So in the chat box, do you have any first questions about what is going on here? Hello again. I don't know how many people actually were able to show up. There were a few people that had mentioned that they would drop in if they had the time. And I will give about 30 more seconds. With the recent changes in the iPods, a lot of people ask, well, where did you get these? And my first iPods were from a grant I got from, I got 3 grants actually. One from the state of Washington, one from the local community has a group called the Mount Vernon, oh my goodness, now I just forget it. Mount Vernon grant. Okay, that's a group in our city. They gave me $1,000, and also my World Language Association here in the state of Washington, WAFL, gave me money as well. So if you're ever looking for where to get the money to get these, check in your community, check with your professional organizations, look at your office of superintendent. Sometimes they have grants for teachers as well. So I bought these refurbished, and they were about $150. They're generation 4, so they have only iOS 6, which is causing a problem because the new apps require at least iOS 8. We're getting some new ones. For now, they still work with the apps that I have, and I love them. They work easy. The students know how to use them, and we've been playing around with them a lot. So I'm going to go back to the screen sharing and show you where we're going to do that. Okay. So we looked at what is digital storytelling already. We kind of talked about that. There's some more ideas for you to explore. And I really like to show people that this is a process. This isn't a quick afternoon or just one class. Sometimes it is a one class experience, but I do like to make sure that the students think about their story, think about the pictures. They're going to write, they're going to do they're going to do a storyboard. They need to get all of this together, get the feedback, reflect, and continue in that process. Okay. And I know a lot of people have different opinions of SAMR. What I'm looking at here is that, and it's not a tool that you want to use and say, I must get to the top of this ladder. It's not a ladder. It's just showing the different levels, different ways that you can look at constructing a lesson that has technology in it. And a lot of the times what we're doing is substitution. We're just using the iPod to make a book. Okay, well, sometimes it's modification, something that we've never done before, and that pushes us a little higher and our students a little bit higher, but maybe the next one the next activity is augmentation. You do not always need to be climbing higher. It's just looking at where am I on this activity level. And if I'm always at substitution, perhaps that's a sign. But if you stay there and move around within those 4 areas of redefinition, modification, augmentation, and substitution, you're going to be mixing and matching ideas for your students. I mentioned this earlier. Creative Commons is a way to look for images online. So a lot of kids use images.google.com. They find a picture, they plop it in, and no citation given. I understand that a lot of us started with it that way. So Creative Commons allows us to search for images that are open for reuse, and I would like you to just explore that option on your own. Okay. I'm going to give you a bunch of resources here. So first one is thinking about syncing. You're going to see all the apps for storytelling that I suggest, and I have used them all. I have not used all of them with my students. I can't push too much on them in 1 year. I would say 2 or 3 per year is good. You've got the blog with student projects, so you can look around on the different projects my students have done. Definitely look at Kathy Schrock. She has her guide to everything. So if you have any questions, I'm always willing to help out online. Send me an email. But Kathy Schrock, she is honestly the person to start with. So we're going to look at a few of these examples, and I know that there's this idea of categorizing apps, and I say this is a good idea to think about, but truthfully, you're going to be mixing and matching that all of these fit some different type of categories. So if you look at this image and it says, okay, evaluation, that's not the only way that you can use them for. They could also be used for knowledge. I appreciate the people that put these graphics together, and because it is visually appealing, and for teachers, we need to know how am I going to explain this. This is a good place to start. And I've got a screenshot from my iPad. I have several storytelling folders, but you can see I have quite a few options for my students because there's different levels at which we want to meet the students. So if it's just a quick sock puppet, the kids are going to have a conversation with 2 puppets talking about their plans for tonight. That's a quick and easy one. Or if I want to go more in depth, I could do the book creator and have them actually build a thoughtful story, and that's going to take more time. And we're going to look at a little bit about app smashing, because you can take different apps and use them. So you've got this app that will help record their voice, and you've got this app that will let you pull in that recording plus animate some pictures, and then you can post it on another one. And we did a great app smashing project. You'll see it at the end of this presentation. The students used 4 different web tools and apps to produce a French stew project that I cannot stop talking about. Okay, so a little bit to my classroom. I've got a charging and a sync tray, a little bit outdated now because you can sync your iPods through different, you can go through the app portal. If you know about iOS, they've got this option for educators now, so that they don't have to, that the teacher doesn't have to worry about putting in new apps. I wanted to be in control of mine, so my district gave me this beautiful tray, a safe, and a little Apple Mini computer to sync them with. And we use them all the time in class. Sometimes it's just for word reference. Sometimes we're recording ourselves. We've got many different ways to use them, but I wanted them because we could never get into the computer lab. The social studies people, the English teachers, they have their needs. We do too. So I bought these thinking I'm going to replace the need to go to the computer lab and record my students. And for the most part, it has helped me beyond my knowledge when I first got them. It's not a complete solution. I like the combination of some Chromebooks and some iPods, and we'll explain that a little bit later when we're looking at the app smashing progress. When you have some time, a lot of us have good memories of when we first learned a technology tool and we wanted to stay with that. My first one was Story 3, and I believe you can still find it some places. It's a PC program, so I don't think it works on Macs, but there are other ways you can get around that. I had my students on Story 3 for several years because it did exactly what I wanted. It had picture, it had narration, and it had text. So you can look at some of these. Next one that I found early on, 2010, was Animoto. You can add your pictures and some text and make a video that has a lot of splashy changes. And then I started getting into the apps. We have Shadow Puppet, and also I do sometimes where the students hand create something, and then I have them record with the iPod. So we take some, standard traditional ways, and then we use the technology to support that. So you can look at those on your own. So the first type I'm going to show you of the apps are the Avatar and Puppet apps. And you have so many more, but I don't want to show them to you all because we only have an hour and it's already 3:22. I love the idea of student choice of character. Remember Voki? Voki was very popular maybe 5 years ago. Students love choosing the hair color, the eye color, the bling. Sometimes that does get to be a little overbearing on their time, so you can set up 15 minutes to create your avatar. You're also going to look at the thematic background picture that helps provide context. So they're going to make an avatar who's going to be standing in front of something. Maybe it's a picture of food or their classroom, or maybe it's an animal. There's going to be something that helps provide context so that when they're talking, when they're telling their story, they've got support. Writing for purpose in the audience. This story is not always meant for maybe the world. Maybe it is meant for the classroom when we're trying to share our knowledge. And of course, we're definitely reinforcing pronunciation and elocution habits. And especially when these get published online, that's when the students say, oh, I didn't sound so good. Could I go and retry that recording? And I'll say, yes, go ahead. And they'll spend 15 minutes practicing and then re-recording. And that's a great progress for them to be experiencing. So the first one, of course, is sock puppets. It's kind of silly. It has two little puppets. I'm going to try and open this up for you and see if we can share this. It takes your voices. Okay, so it takes your voices, you probably can't hear that, and change them into sort of that chipmunk sound. That's great for the students who feel uncomfortable with how their voice sounds in a different language, or if they have some sort of, their voices are changing because they're boys. That's always helpful. I love sock puppets just for a quick little 15-minute conversation practice. There's a teacher example you can watch. I think this person had a little bit more fun than I did. So she's got two different ones. So she's having two animals talk. That's a fun one, and it's free. You can use this on iPods and iPads. On the iPod, it's a little bit smaller, but it actually works out very well. Okay. So the next one is Zubi. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I love this one because the avatars are very cute and the scenes are fun, and it's got a little attitude. And Lacey Lowe, who's a teacher in California, she's a Spanish teacher, was at the Santa Barbara, the California Language Teacher Association summer seminar at Santa Barbara. We had 5 days of technology building, great, amazing projects. And Lacey came up with this one that I'm going to try and show you. It's with this pig. Okay, so here's Lacey right there in the background, and this is our German teacher, and we have some French teachers and Spanish teachers in here, and she decided to make a little message for us. So this is, okay, so you're seeing the pig talk. I don't know if you can see or hear the voice, but you can click on it and watch it. It is Lacey talking. So she chose this background, added the pictures, and she made this cute little quick conversation. Excuse me, not a conversation, but a little narration. Okay, the other one, now that's free, is my school avatar. And I really do want to point out there is a free version of this, but the pictures for the avatars you wouldn't want to be using in school. So pay the $2.99. If you're with the Apple volume purchasing plan, and you can have your tech person look that up for you, that will help you get 50% off each app. So instead of being $3, it'd be $1.50 for each one. And even if you only have one iPad in the classroom, you can put that app on there for $3 and then pass it around to the students. Maybe you're working in stations that day. one station is that they're going to be working on their avatar. They get to change everything, and I really like the little clothes that they have. It's very cute. So you can see in the background, I chose some food that I like, and then I made my avatar and put her in there, and she's going to talk about the food that she has behind her. So you've got that context for the students to say, okay, it's cute, my avatar is moving, lots of fun. Quick check on questions in the chat box. And I'm going to stop sharing just for a second. Greetings. It's a little different because usually there's a moderator here that would pop in and say, oh, there's a question. I will give you a few more seconds. I don't see one, so we'll go back to the screen. Okay. And keep presenting. Okay, so those two are fun. If I were going to choose one or the other, Zubi is very nice since it's free, but they both basically do the same thing. One more that's very interactive, there's a free version, and then there's a $4.99 version. With the $4.99 version, you have more choices for clothing and other ways to share it out. If you just take the free version, you're going to be fine. It's not going to be very, there's not going to be very many options for the students to change. You get one t-shirt, one color, but it still does the same thing. And so we have an example by a teacher. Her name's Elizabeth Nelson. I found this one online. And there's also a great version with the student. Now, this isn't my student. This is one I found online. She's explaining the vocabulary from a book she read. So not only for world language teachers, this could be for any content area. I'll let you watch those on your own. Okay, now we're going to look at Storyboard to video apps. And I like these also because you're going to take pictures and you're going to put some narration on them or some text on them, and it's going to turn it into a little mini movie. I like these again because we've got writing for purpose. The students can use hand-drawn pictures or pictures they find online. It's a creative process throughout, so they have to rewrite and change and work with you. They're going to practice spelling habits because on their little mini video, if they're spelling mouth wrong, it could be a fly instead of their mouth, which most kids would kind of giggle at that one. So the first one I used ever was called 30 Hands. It's a free app. It is real basic. It doesn't do a great video. It doesn't have transition. It just goes picture and then goes to the next picture. You can put on narration and text, and you can actually draw on slides, which is pretty fun. So if you want to have a pointer at something, or if you want to circle a part. And mine is a cat description I did. So I'll open that one up. I won't play the video so much. So my first year students were learning animal body parts. And I wanted them to find pictures of animal body parts and talk about them. So this one's going to be about a cat. Okay, and then, so just, you know, and you see that this is on YouTube. You can download, and this is where I added some drawing. I drew that amazing cat and put the arrows in. I know it's unbelievable. And there it is right there up on YouTube. So the students have their voice, their choice, and it's published on YouTube. And they could also put it on, I believe, Twitter, of course. I'm not sure if it would go on Instagram because it's too long, but they could put a link to it. So that's that cat description one, lots of fun. The second one that I really like after the first time, excuse me, go back one, it's called Shadow Puppet. And there's two versions of Shadow Puppet. There's Shadow Puppet and there's the EDU version. I believe the EDU version is no longer free. You can check that, some days it is. So it's a little bit fancier than 30 Hands. You do still use narration, pictures, video, and text and drawing. And then you do get to download that, and it comes with a little watermark on it. It's not bad. I invite you to experience the yak by one of my students. He was very nervous about the speaking in front of the class, but once I gave him this app and I said, okay, you're going to be talking about an animal, choose an animal and tell me about it, he went and felt confident enough to speak in French and show off his knowledge. Okay, so I invite you to watch that one. We also did a great French 2 version of this, where the students were choosing foods they like and don't like to eat. They used adjectives, the verb to be, They use adjective agreement and, of course, fruits and vegetables vocabulary. This one offered the students greater chunks in the tier 2 because they were saying, I like cherries because they are sweet and tasty. And that's a pretty big chunk for French 2. Without the app, we would have done the same thing, but the fact that the students get to explain and demonstrate their knowledge, that makes the task, I guess, a little bit more engaging. It's also a great example from CLTA. This is Jose Madrano. He shared his Bez Perdu. That was just a little for Espanol. Bez Perdido. Definitely worth watching, even if you don't know Spanish. The emotion that came out in Jose's his story, I think that demonstrates exactly. Students get excited because they can use their voice talents that they learned in first grade, or if they've lost them, they're going to learn how to get that back, because I always say that's a flat production. You need to go back and spice it up. Okay, Videolicious, I have not used with the students yet, but I am planning on doing it. It makes a video where they pre-record a scene and then they choose how to put themselves in front of that video. And I can't necessarily show it very well, but if you look at the tutorial, Matt will explain it to you. And he's showing how real estate agents would use this. So think of your students if they were learning parts of a house, or if they were doing parts of a campus, or even just the classroom. They could video the classroom. Okay, you choose your videos, and then you record yourself talking, and that way you are talking over the video. And this is a great way if you don't want to go into a lot of fancy production on YouTube, or if you don't have video editing. Using Videolicious will help you narrate your videos that you've taken. That's a great way to do that. And it looks pretty professional. Okay, a few other ones we're going to look at is Tunetastic. And hang on, let me put that one up there. That's a $9.99. Okay, there's a free version that you can get, but you can't upload and you can't save, so it just stays on the iPod, which isn't that helpful. You could walk around and, you know, show people it. You could have stations, but I like the idea that you can upload to YouTube on this one. If you don't have that, you can use their TuneTube account, which is pretty fun. So Tunetastic allows you to make a little scene with different props. Oh, and it's been taken down, so I'll look at that later. It does allow you to move around little objects on a screen, and it's fun to experiment that. If you Google that on Tunetastic, you'll be able to find some good examples on YouTube. Okay, so the last one we're going to look at is books and picture apps. So these are more formal demonstrations of knowledge, because they're making a full book, and a full book could be 2 or 3 pages. That's up to you. But again, we're going through the writing process. We're using student choice and voice. They can add drawings of their own narration. They can do videos. But a lot of these books can be published either on iTunes or Google Books. Some of them allow you to just have a direct link to the book. There's lots of ways to get these out into the public so that you can get comments on them. One quick one just is Haiku Deck. And I like Haiku Deck because it gets kids away from the PowerPoint. And it allows them to use a beautiful big picture and then some text. In fact, they are relegated to that one chunk of text, so they can't put a lot of pictures on there. Excuse me, they can't put a lot of text, whereas some kids really use a lot of PowerPoint no-nos of many bulleted text, no pictures. So this gets them a little bit away from that. Okay. My current favorite is $4.99, or if you do have an Android device, it's $2.49 on Google Play, and there is a free version. I love Book Creator because it allows you to add so much to your book. I would really encourage you to experience this one just by watching it on YouTube. The amount of options and the amount of books that have already been published, you can maybe go through and find one that you like. You can see what different teachers are doing with this, and they get published also on iTunes. So that way you're getting more visibility for your students. This could be part of a collaboration with another school in a different country, or it could be just another school in your city and you're comparing ideas. Book Creator is easy to use. The amount of flexibility for getting the animation, the videos, my students would take about 5 minutes to play around with that, and they would start creating. Please choose this one if you're going to start with a Book Creator. Okay, the other ones that I'm going to show you help you do either storytelling as an explanation. This isn't a book, but it is where students can take their knowledge and explain it to you. And so you get a flipped classroom experience as well. So you, the teacher, could prepare a lesson ahead of time with pictures and visuals and charts, and then the students would watch that. And mine was about the animal body parts, and then I gave them a handout. You can look at those. Again, I did want the students to learn those body parts before they made their little videos. And when I put this together, I put them in stations with the iPads. And I said, okay, you're going to watch this video as many times as you need. You're going to use the handout. And I put that on there so that the kids would have that. And so they would see the different body parts and the different animals and put that together from watching the video. Now, students could do the same thing. You notice this has text, pictures, and you'll hear my voice when you watch it. And you can also highlight. And you can move things around. So it's not fully animated, but there are ways to show things that are in movement. Lots of teachers love to start with this one if they want a real basic way, because honestly, Book Creator can seem a bit overwhelming the first time because of all the things you can do. If you're looking for a first step to starting some sort of demonstrate your knowledge, try Educreations. Another one that's just like that is Show Me. Show Me is very basic. It has the whiteboard. You're gonna draw on it while you're talking. You can add a visual. You can circle things. It's a great way if you want to have students who didn't get the concept the first time to watch it again and again and again. Okay. The last one that I do appreciate the most, perhaps of all three of these whiteboards, is Explain Everything. So if I'm putting them in order, Educreations is great because it's free. Show Me is easy to use. Explain Everything is $2.99, and it allows you to add so much into that whiteboard presentation mode. And I definitely would invite you to watch. Jen Johnson made this exceptional tutorial on how to do this, and I'm just running through it. She leads you through the exact way that she makes a digital storytelling project for her students. Even though it's not a book, she still produced a great project. And then there's Phil Jones as well. Phil, he's another tech trainer and explains everything very well with the actual with the app. So about 20 minutes left, and I just want to stop and ask if there are any questions about the apps that we've looked at. I'm going to stop sharing here. Thanks. I know that there was a question and answer option on this, so I will throw that out. Do we have any questions? None there. Well, I do hope you watch this on YouTube. I'm not, like I said, I'm not sure if this got out to the EdCamp people. I sent them several times the link, and if it didn't get there, that's okay, because it'll be up on my YouTube channel, which is Catherine KU. It will also be on a link on my webpage, and I'll show you that at the end. I'll put it out on Twitter. You won't miss me. Okay, the last part is web-based tools, because not everybody has iPods, iPads, and that their schools made them buy Chromebooks. I'm not going to show you very many demonstrations of these because of the time limit. You have a great option in ThingLink, and ThingLink right now has been my darling because I've made many different little things in this. So ThingLink lets you take a picture. You can upload the picture, and you put little labels on it that are tagged media. So you can see I do a lot with animals. This was a squirrel that I used for our animal body parts. And I put sentences on him. So it talks about what he has. He has whiskers. It talks about what he does. He jumps around with his little paws. Okay, then I put in a cute video with superhero squirrels. I found a picture of a black squirrel because our students had never seen one. There is a link to more information about that. So, and there's an audio recording of me. ThingLink is one of my favorite tools right now when you don't have a lot of, you don't have a lot of time, but you do want students to show the most possible. This is the one I made recently for CLTA. It's about Moroccan salads. And I put all sorts of media in here. Here's a link to the recipe. Here's a way to write about, okay, what do you see in here? You've got all the vocabulary marked down with little icons. Plus I have a video of somebody at the market in Marrakesh. And then I've got a supermarket link. So this is an actual supermarket in Morocco. This is a way of storytelling. It's not a traditional book, it's not a little film, but the students are still presenting their knowledge. They could record themselves talking about everything that's on this picture and show even more knowledge, more research by tagging the picture with different media. I absolutely suggest this if you are relegated, and I shouldn't say it like that, but to Chromebooks, go with ThingLink. Glogster is a very similar tool, but you do have to pay for it, and ThingLink is free. There are paid versions of ThingLink, and there is a ThingLink EDU. If you go to ThingLink EDU, you'll find some options to get involved with the teacher groups, and they're sharing all of their ideas. Always a way. Since Haiku was an option for the app, you can also do it for the web, and Animoto is also both web and app-based. You can get this free. This is so important now that Animoto is available for education for free, because before I paid $35 a year for full videos. This is a great option. Narrable, I guess, just started changing over their website. The man contacted me the other day and said that perhaps they wouldn't be up for a while. But if you like to make comic strips with your students, there are many different comic strip sites, and I have many of them listed on my website. You can go and explore them all. Tundu, now this is going to be just text and pictures, unless you had your students pull in this picture into one of the apps like Explain Everything, and then they could talk over it. So there you have the idea of App Smash, and you can download your picture, upload it to Explain Everything, or to Show Me, or to Educreations, and then have the students record over that picture that they just made. This comic could become something that has voice to it. Great way to mesh together some of your tools. Okay. One more is Pixton. I haven't used this for a while, but I still think it's a powerful tool. It does give you an EDU, so you have the teacher sign up for your free trial. Definitely look at this one. It is 50 students, 30 days for free. And I do appreciate that they offer these for teachers. Okay, last thing I want to show you was Infographic Generators. This is a different way to tell a story, and it's allowing students who don't have a lot of language abilities in those first year perhaps, to demonstrate their knowledge with images and some text. And there's not a lot of speaking in this unless you want to pull it in from one of those apps and narrate them. Infographics have become the way to get the most information across to the public as possible with the least amount of reading. And it's not as though we're, I shouldn't say dumbing down society, but I think it's a way for students to say, I researched this information and I can present it graphically to you as the teacher. And I've used these before with the students making an infographic about vacation in the French-speaking world. What do people do when they go on vacation? How do we spend our time? So they made their infographics, they did the research, and then they presented them to the class, which I recorded and posted on YouTube. So it was easy for me to grab these three. I really do love Easily, but you have three. There's a couple more. Is to grab that tool, allow the students time to research a little bit, compare. They can choose the icons. They have templates. So for the students who are not visually gifted and don't have an idea of what something would look like, you do have a lot of templates. And this one's free and very easy to use. Okay. So I'm going to stop here. It's a few minutes early, but I don't see anybody. Usually the last 15 minutes are for questions. But I want you to, if you have the time, go and visit the Technology Tools for World Languages site. It has more information than you will ever need for learning about how to integrate technology. Okay, there you have iOS apps, and then you have digital storytelling. So when you're on iOS apps, you click on that, and there's storytelling apps. There's audio recording. As you see, I did not go through all of these. Okay, sketchnoting is very popular right now. If you contact Sylvia Duckworth, she's on Google Hangouts. She's on Twitter. She's a very well-known French teacher up in Toronto. She will show you right here. She will show you how to do this visual note-taking. She just won a massive award for all of her work with her technology ideas. So I strongly suggest following Sylvia. And of course, Kathy Schock's Guide to Everything. When you go there, I would like you to also think about visiting my main page, because you'll find the Technology Commission has a blog in which I present almost all of my technology ideas. And I give you step-by-step instructions on how to do this. So this first one was that photo de classe that I was talking about, right? It's some app smashing. So we use PicMonkey. That is a web-based site that lets you make collages. So here's my collage. Sherbet is a way to record, and you can record either online on the computer or with the app that they have. We used YouTube and we used Padlet. And we put all of these together, all 4 of these tools, and I will give you a moment to explore that on your own. But in the blog, if you go and explore this, I have screenshots that will help you out and links to videos that you can learn more. So here's the screenshots. And this is me trying to help you out. And then I put in some videos. So the ATF technology blog, even though it's for the French teachers, it's in English, it's for any teacher, and I do try and post a couple of times a semester. Now, you also can look at my student work on our website. You'll find that off of my website. This is what my students did to do some app smashing. We wanted to know, who am I, where am I from, my origins, and my history. So we learned this from a school in France. They had done a very similar project, and we wanted to show them. I made a ThingLink with my students' pictures. So here are all of my students in one period. And I asked them, okay, I would like you to use all 4 of those tools that I showed you. So we've got PicMonkey, Sherbet, YouTube, and Padlet. And you're going to talk about your life. And here, she didn't finish her project, so that's a little bit too bad. But she put in her pictures. She had an interview with her mother that she uploaded to YouTube. And then she's got her recording about herself in Sherbet. So here she's describing herself. It's about well, hers is a little bit short. It's about a minute long. So go around and explore these students. Some of them, when you give them a digital project, this one went extremely into the decoration. Goes, here's her PicMonkey. This is her word photo that we made with an app called Word Photo. It's 99 cents. It's a great app that lets you take a picture and then the words that you add become your picture. We also did a hand-drawn stages in our life. So this is a timeline that they drew by hand, and then they took a picture of it and uploaded it to their Padlet. Here's her Sherbet with her recording and her interview with her father. This is a digital story. It comes in all sorts of shapes and sizes. She does have writing, speaking, still speaking, and then she talked a little bit about her family. And all of this put together is a very personal, very in-depth investigation on our question, who am I and where do I come from? I invite you to look at those. Great groups. And that's on the last slide. I think I've finished for the moment, and I'm going to just drop back in real quick. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and go back to the chat. And I don't see that anybody has any questions. One last thing is, are you perhaps following me on the Twitter conversation? If you don't have TweetDeck, that's always a fun way to organize all of your tweeting. Okay, I think we see no questions on Twitter. I would try just looking up EdCamp Global as the hashtag, because some people might be tweeting about that. There's a lot of stuff going on in this last few hours. If you missed anything about EdCamp Global, type that in as a search, and everyone that tweeted about it, put in a hashtag. You'll be able to find the resources from all over the world. So again, to find this presentation, I'll put a link on my YouTube page and a link on my Google Plus page. But you can also Google me, Catherine Ousselin, and my website's pretty easy. If you go down to where it says Technology Workshops, you click on that and go down to Workshops Offered, you're going to see the EdCamp Global session right there. Everything that you need from that presentation and all the links will be right there, ready for you to use and browse at your own pace. I appreciate if you're watching this, and I appreciate if you could share it with your friends, your colleagues. I think the more teachers that know that they have many different options with the tools that they have in their classroom or the tools that they can get into their classroom, the syncing with students won't be so painful. It's a great experience. I've taken about 3 to 4 years of just experimenting. I've had some good moments. I've had some amazing moments, and a few times where I wondered, why was I trying this? But as that is a progress, please don't be frustrated at the first time if something doesn't work. It's sort of like a pencil that breaks. You can always go and resharpen it. If an app crashes or a website doesn't work or Wi-Fi doesn't happen that day, give it another try. It will definitely be the payoff you're hoping for. Thank you so much. I wish you a great day and hope to see you online.